We're live. We are now live for anyone that is listening or watching. Right. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Eden Road podcast, where on tonight's show, we're going to be trying something a little bit different. As you can see, we are live on YouTube for our Tottenham full-time show. So to whoever's here, if there is anyone, thank you for watching. We're just trialing it, see how it goes. I mentioned to the boys off camera that it was kind of, we've been thinking about doing this for a while, but just decided on a limb tonight, earlier today, that we were going to do it. And I only sent out a tweet like 45 minutes ago. So not the most ideal preparation, but we're going to, the next time we do it, give it a proper push on social media and hopefully, fingers crossed, get a few people in the chat so that we can interact with any questions or anything like that. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to turn this around and stick it on Spotify. So if you're listening there, welcome. And yeah, let's just crack on. Joining me for the show are the regulars, Callum and Craig. Craig, how are we, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I feel like it's normal services resumed, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it does seem that way. Callum, how are we?
I'm all good, thank you. How's everyone doing?
Do you know, I'm actually not that bad after yesterday. I didn't care too much, and then I woke up, the alcohol had pretty much worn off, and I was quite upset. So it was annoying, but we'll get into it. Just before we get going, guys, remember to hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, please do leave a rating and also give us a follow on our socials. That's at the Eden Road on Twitter and at Eden Road Pod on Instagram. Craig, first of all, mate, initial thoughts from the game.
I think we played 103 minutes. I think we played 103 minutes of football yesterday, and I'd say 96 of those minutes were brilliant. We're really good, and we looked like we was going to push them all the way. But 7 minutes of pure chaos is what ultimately lost us that game and put a damper on what could have been a really, really good game.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just going to plug this on social media one more time to let people know that we're live. Hopefully, we can get a few more people in the chat. I see there's 2 people watching. I'm hoping that's not me and Craig, because I also have the YouTube tab open. I'll close that now and see if it changes. Oh, we got 3 people. Here we go, boys. I'm just going to plug it one more time on socials, see if we can get some more people in the chat. Callum, initial thoughts. Same question to you, mate.
Listen, I think the first half performance, was one of the best I've seen for a long time. I think we knew that Tottenham have quite a high line. We were trying to work around that, which is what happened with that first goal. We got around that high line. We scored, a good goal through Morpay. But what I was worried about, which is what happened in that second half, was keeping that momentum going, keeping that press on Tottenham, who like to pass that ball around. It felt like a cup tie at some points in that game yesterday. The way it was end to end. Tottenham were creating opportunities. We were creating opportunities. It was a really entertaining game, and I can imagine for a neutral, it was an absolute blinder to go and watch. But yes, that 7-8 minutes of absolute pandemonium. I mean, the first goal, frustrating. Lucky deflection. And you can't do much about that one. The second one, we look at Roslev and we say not tracking back, cost us massively with that second goal. The back line, in fact, they went missing with that second goal. I have absolutely no idea what happened. They just seemed to completely forget what they did in that first half and kept Tottenham at bay. And within a minute, we found ourselves 2-1 down. And then the third one, again, an absolute fluke. A lucky deflection after, Maddison's shot into the path of Richarlison. Flecken has already committed himself and is wrong-footed at that point. And, they get lucky with that. With Ben Mee, could have possibly have kept it out. But, if I look at that first half, I say it was one of the best I've seen in a while. The second half, frustrating, but some good positive performances in there. We've got to remember that there were some really good performances in there from some individuals yesterday.
Yeah, let's go through the first goal. We'll do kind of a goal by goal analysis. Neil Maupay and Tony combining well again. Like you said, Callum, I think we were under the cosh for the first kind of 10 minutes, but we did grow into the game and we were starting to look like the side that we were last season in terms of playing against the top 6, soaking up that pressure and then being pretty devastating on the counter. We might have had a goal even before then. I actually haven't watched much of the day back yet, so I haven't seen Rurselev's goal and Jensen's offside. But Tony Mope combined well for the first, like they did all game. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail a bit later. But we have to talk about the celebration, Craig, before we get into the actual goal itself. The social media antics, the post game that followed. What's your take on it, mate?
I'm here for it. I feel like there was so much to dissect and digest from the game itself that it continues even now. If all you got to do is load up social media, and you can see Spurs fans still not very happy with the celebration, still bringing up James Maddison, and a lot of them are bringing up trophies for some reason, trying to belittle us with trophies, which is a strange thing. Mate, we all knew that Neil Maupay was going to do something. And I fully expected if he scored again, he'd do that stupid chicken celebration that Richarlison does. I just expected that to happen. I think it's brilliant. It kind of plays up to it. Built the atmosphere in the stadium, a bit riled up, which in turn, I would say riles up our fans, but we haven't had the greatest of away followings this season, I don't think. But it just builds atmosphere, builds tension in the game. I would say it makes it difficult for the referee, but he lost it inside the first few minutes anyway.
Fucking useless, mate.
He lost it inside the first few minutes anyway. The comments from James Maddison about not scoring enough goals, yet Neil Maupay has more career goals than him, is funny. The Maupay post on Twitter is just on Instagram, is just brilliant, and I think it made an entertaining game all the more entertaining afterwards as well.
Yeah, just on that, Callum, Jay Harris tweeted something out today that caught my eye. He said there have been 2 games this season where Brentford have really rattled the opposition and things have become chaotic. They were 1-0 up against Villa and Spurs and lost both games. I'm not sure how beneficial it is. Thoughts on that, Callum? I know it does add to the spice of the fixture, but I can imagine Neil Maupay doing James Maddison's celebration and then kind of flaunting in front of him as well would only give Spurs more motivation at half time to be like, this fucker, we need to put this right.
Completely agree. Jay has completely read my mind on that one. I'm glad you've asked that question, Mike. I feel, look, maybe if you scored a winner in the 90th minute, I think it's justified to go and, celebrate in the fashion that he did. I love Neil Maupay. I think, I called it when we signed him. I actually thought he was going to kick on and do very well for us. And he is, and he will do very well for us this season. I'm guaranteed of it. But the fashion, I think it was too early to start doing a celebration like that. As you rightfully say, Mike, and Jay touches upon, it kind of gets the opposition going. We were only 1-0 up going into that second half, a crucial second half, I must say, with the games coming up. So I think that all the stuff that happened, I don't think it's a good idea. As you rightfully say, Villa is another example as well. I think it's great. If you're going to go and win the game, then fair enough. But we didn't. Tottenham had the final word at the end of the day. They went and beat us, didn't they? So, they got the 3 points. I love Maupay, but, you just concentrate on scoring goals, Maupay. I want you to go and do well. I want Brentford to go and win more games. Don't do it when we're 1-0 up, honestly. And now we've got everyone talking about that loss and, the after effects from there. And it carried on last night, as you say, on social media. Like, we've just lost a game of football, a game which I feel we could have at least got a draw out of and possibly even won. I come away frustrated from that performance yesterday. I think we should have got something from that game because they were there for the taking. And but yes, keep it. I say, look, within reason, I don't see a problem. 90th minute winner, fine, do it. Not in the first 15 minutes because it just riles them up. He got himself booked as well. Do you remember that? He got himself booked for some stupid antics. I mean, and then of course for the rest of the 75 minutes, 80 minutes, I'm saying to the guy next to me, I'm saying he's going to get himself sent off here because they've got a back line who were clever. They were trying to wind him up. one day we know Morpay, we've seen it in the past, will retaliate and he'll get himself told off and he'll get himself sent off. So, but yeah, there's a time and the place. There is a time and the place for it. So.
The thing is though, Craig, I don't think I'd love Neil Maupay as much as I do if he didn't do that or if he didn't do something along those lines after every time he scores. He's playing into this character so well of the villain, and I've seen him actually getting such great like PR at the moment from people saying he's like the best import to come into the Premier League. And James Maddison's actually come off quite not worse because obviously Tottenham won, but people are starting to grow on this narrative that Neil Maupay, he just fits that character so well. So I don't know how I would feel if he just turned the shithousery off, as opposed to when he does it when we're 1-0 up and you know it could come back to bite you in the arse. Do you know what I mean? There's like a fine line.
I don't think he could turn it off. Even if he wanted to turn it off, I don't think he could now. He's painted himself as this pantomime villain. He's got to carry on now. He's got to carry on. He can't just turn it off. Otherwise, he just looks like he's been a dick for a few games.
Yeah.
Or for a few years or whatever. But it's all over social media. Every single team doesn't like him for one reason or another. Arsenal fans don't like him because of that whole situation when he was at Brighton. Now Spurs fans don't like him. I mean, Villa don't like him from when he stood on John McGinn or wherever it was, like in the Championship. No one likes him except for Brentford. And
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a Spurs fan on Twitter, funnily enough, and I said to him that we have a similar relationship with Neil Maupay as they do with James Maddison. Everyone else thinks they're a bit of a prick, but you love them when they play for your team.
Yeah.
And I love Neil Maupay. I do enjoy the shithousery. I do think that Callum is right. It might have been a touch too soon, maybe 75 minutes or so too soon. But it's in his character, isn't it? He's gonna rile people up, and I think you're saying about him possibly getting sent off or doing something this season. I can see him winding people up more than him getting wound up by other people. But him and Ivan, just the pair of them, they're causing chaos for defenses. I mean, Ivan's 2-2, Maupay's 4-4, and they're working together. I know we're going to move on to it, but they're working together better than anyone could have imagined that they would.
Yeah, 100%. We've got a question, first one of the night. I'm going to drop that in. I can't actually see a name, but we got someone in the comments asking, do you think Josh Da Silva should be starting? I thought he was the best player on the pitch when he came on. Callum, I'm going to throw it to you because I've been campaigning for Josh Da Silva to be starting as soon as he's kind of made this comeback from injury when he had a couple of good games against Wolves. And it seems as though, I don't know why, but Frank's not trusting him to start. Well, he hasn't trusted him to start in the game against Nottingham Forest and in the game against Spurs. But I feel when he came on against Spurs, I agree with whoever that is in the comments. I thought he was class. He was getting the better of Udogie down the left-hand side, which a lot of people have struggled with this season. Udogie's been one of the standout players of the season so far. And when Josh Da Silva came on, it was like, I wish he had more time to affect this game. If he'd have come on at 60 minutes and he had a full half hour, or if he'd have come on straight at half time, I'd have liked to see more of him. What do you think, Callum?
I completely agree, and that's a very good question. So thank you for sending that in. I said yesterday at length, again, Josh Da Silva should have been on that pitch a lot earlier. We needed someone with a bit of creativity. You know, Yarmolenko, fantastic player, don't get me wrong, but Josh Da Silva is something else. Every time Josh Da Silva gets on that ball, defenders do not know what to do with him. You've got a player who is direct, he's quick. He could put in a pass, which you don't see many people capable of doing. You know, he is one of a kind of a player. And for some reason, I don't know what it is. Thomas Frank, whether he sees him as an impact player or whatever it is. But yesterday, he left it far too late. We should have, seriously, when Tony had scored that second goal yesterday, you know, from a silly mistake from that back line from Tottenham, we should have been saying, right, we're going to make some changes now. We're going to get onto you. We've got 30 minutes now. We've added time to go and get that equaliser, maybe kick on and go and score because their back line was that bad. Josh Da Silva should have come on that pitch earlier. And yes, touching upon that question again, I do think he should start. Absolutely. Whenever he's played for us, he's put 110% in. He, as I say, he is taking on players at their will. They don't know what to do with him. He can shoot, he can pass, he tracks back. He's got every single thing you want in a football player. Yet for some reason, he's not starting. Don't know why. But this is something obviously Thomas Frank can certainly answer in a press conference. There is a player in there we should be utilising a lot more than what we're doing at the moment. He's back to fitness. Let's use him. We've got a key player in there. We've got such a key player. He offers set piece opportunities as well. Again, what was he not doing? It was only when he was on the corner duties. Yeah, but the free kicks, he wasn't taking that. He was leaving that down to Norgard. It just, we've got a player in there. We need to utilize him a lot more. So yes, absolutely agree with that question. He should be starting 100%.
I think it was when we played City away last season, and I think maybe a video done by the club, and it was Ivan Toney talking through the goal, the winner, and he said whenever when Josh squares up against someone, you back him to beat him 9 times out of 10. And it is so true. And it's something that we saw in the Championship so often, that defenders or whoever he's up against, whether he be on the wing or in midfield, if he gets the wrong side or if he drops that shoulder, either way as well, which I really like about him, he's got a crack in left foot, don't get me wrong, but he can go down on the right as well. And the only reason that maybe he's not starting at the moment was when he come back from injury the first time, Craig, didn't he go through a run of starting games? And he wasn't as convincing. And I've always been an advocate of Josh Da Silva, but it's always that he puts in great performances off the bench. And the one against Wolves in the Cup, where he was the best player on the pitch until he got hooked. Do you think that was an anomaly?
No, I don't think it's an anomaly. I think he's one of those players that everyone can see. There's a player with huge potential. And he's also one of those players that when you see him on the pitch, you almost expect him to put in a minimum 8 out of 10 performance every single time he's playing. He's consistent, he's reliable, he works hard. I just think that maybe medical staff, higher management know that he's got this tendency to get injured very easily. He's one of those players that I'm petrified every time I see him running that he's going to grab his hammy again, or he's going to hit the deck and something's going to happen to him. I love Josh Da Silva as a player. He's so direct, as Callum said, and that's exactly what we needed yesterday. I kind of want to allude to a point of KLP as well, which is frustrating me. And I posted it on Twitter, and a few people seem to have agreed with me. Just to go on to this question from this person, great question. But yeah, I do think he should be playing, should be starting, and we're going to go on to it as well. City, he has to be in that starting lineup. I don't know what we can do to possibly challenge them. I see them running over us, unfortunately. But Josh needs to be in there. Aya needs to be in there, but we can go on to that in a moment. My comment about KLP, please disagree with me if you think I'm wrong here. His lack of directness is really starting to frustrate me. We saw it against Wolves, where he was brilliant. He was beating defenders. He was getting that ball across. But the amount of times that we've seen him beat that high press from Spurs, we saw him do it against... God, who did we play? I can't even remember who it was. Who did we just beat? Forest,
yeah.
Saw it against Forest, where he's beating that back line, and then rather than running towards goal, going across the defenders, which is what attacking players should be doing, forward players should be doing, either getting towards goal or forcing a foul from a player in a dangerous position. I'm kind of getting a little bit frustrated, and I hate the fact that I'm getting frustrated with him not being direct enough, in my opinion. The amount of times he's had opportunities to go towards goal, and he's chosen to run away from goal to get the ball across, and it hasn't worked. He needs to be more direct, and the soon as he becomes more direct, I think that we'll see him scoring a few more goals as well. I'm happy to be argued on that one as well. If you disagree with what I'm saying there,
I'm going to disagree with that one.
I thought he was class yesterday, KLP.
I think he was absolutely brilliant yesterday for a player who had been brought in to play left back yesterday or left wing back. I think he did very, very well. He kept their forward line very, very quiet yesterday, and do you know what? I would have given him personally man of the match in that first half. And he was very good. He was very direct. I actually thought he was very direct yesterday.
Nah.
He was going forward. He was creating opportunities. He was taking players on. He was doing everything you would want actually from a player yesterday. Maybe you could say in other games, Craig, I do agree. Maybe sometimes he doesn't take on players as much maybe as what he should do because he has got that pace. He's got that agility. He's got everything you would want in a winger. Possibly, maybe in other games, maybe. Yesterday, disagree. I think he was very, very good yesterday. He was very, very good.
Yesterday, he was great covering at that left fullback position, that left wing back position. And the irony of that whole situation yesterday is Spurs got more success down our right hand side against a defender than they did down our left hand side against a winger. And that should speak volumes. I hate it because I want him to do well as well. That should speak volumes of the impact that Mazroslev has on our team as well. He was not good enough yesterday.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's beaten far too easily. When he gets on the ball, he is far too negative. I spoke about this in a previous podcast where for Mazroslev to move the ball forwards, the ball has to be played in front of him. We saw it in a championship where he would get the ball, he would actually beat a player, and then he'd put in a good pass. But now the ball goes to his feet, and if that ball isn't in front of him for him to run onto, it'll be a touch, infield, or backwards. His negativity is frustrating me as well. Maybe that's a confidence thing. Maybe that's a confidence thing in him. But that's frustrating me. But KLP, my point was not his performance. I think yesterday and the games that he stepped in at left wing back he has been phenomenal and he's done a job. And I give him the utmost praise for what he has done when he's played in left wing back. My concern is when he is pushed forwards into that top two with him and Ivan, which we did against Forest, but we didn't really do that yesterday. I don't even remember Neil Maupay going off. He didn't. But when he gets the opportunity to go forwards and he beats that back line, which he does with his pace, it's when he doesn't make those beeline runs towards goal. There was a couple of instances against Forest, one of which did lead to the goal from the corner, where he beat their back line, and you're thinking to him, run towards goal, you're going to get a shot off here, run towards goal. He gets towards the edge of the area, and he starts to veer away from the goal. Now, we did get the corner, and we did score from the resulting corner. If we hadn't done that, I think my point might be a bit more valid here, but because we scored, maybe it looks like I'm talking a bit of waffle. But I want to take nothing away from his performances at left wing back. He has stepped in. He's done a fantastic job. Funnily enough, since he's been playing there, we haven't been beaten by those back post goals that we seem to be conceding a lot of the time.
Well, you have to remember, Craig, he has come back from quite a big injury, and you look at the opportunities he's had as well. I don't think we have seen the best of him yet. I think we're seeing big potential from him, and I'm glad he's getting all these opportunities to start at the moment. I really hope Frank doesn't drop him because he is really. I think he's doing very well, but give him more opportunities to start in his favourite position, and I'll tell you now, he will score goals. He will create more opportunities. He will do what you want him to do. He will do it 100%. I have full belief in him. I've always said that on this podcast. I have full belief in King Lewis Potter, 100%. We've seen it at Hull, and we're going to see it at Brentford. He is showing it, and he will do it with time. Just be patient. Just be patient.
Because I remember when who did we play before Villa when he was the best player on the pitch, but he didn't get a goal, and then he scored against Villa. And
I think that was the Wolves game, wasn't it?
Yeah, Wolves. He was the best player on the pitch. We got battered 4-1, and he was so direct in that game. But you have to remember that he was playing left wing in that game, and it kind of like I know he's putting in a shift at left wing back, and he was pretty average against Forest, but he was really good against Spurs yesterday. I thought defensively. Maybe didn't have as many opportunities going forward. But it does pose another question. We will get on to the person's question. Do you think we'll pick up a single point this month? We'll do that towards the end because we've still got some more of the Spurs game to talk about. I think in short, the answer is no. But when KLP does come back, when we've got more players that we can play in this for, does it mean that we now have to sacrifice the partnership that Ivan Toney and Neil Maupay have because Neil Maupay is unlikely to play on one of the wings? Do you see what I mean? Or do you think Neil Maupay and Toney will play together regardless? Because honestly, I've got it here on the rundown anyway. But like these two are playing like they've played together for ages, and it's only been a couple of games. The chemistry they have. Ivan should have put away one before he actually scored his goal when I think it's Ruslev hooks it over the top. Oh no, Yarmolenko hooks it over the top for Maupay. He chases it down the right and then he crosses it for Toney. Toney sidesteps two of them. And I heard the interviewer post game ask Frank something like, if Toney had got 10 more games under his belt, is those the chances you would expect him to finish? The more I look at it, I think with the second touch around the goalie, it does make that angle really tight. He's going to have to literally produce a pinpoint finish to get it in. But the chemistry between Neil Maupay and Ivan Toney is really good at the moment. But will it exist in a 4-3-3?
It has to. It has to. And I'm only saying that because who else are we going to play other than KLP, Maupay, and Ivan at the moment? Because we've got Wisser away at AFCON, we've got Sharda injured, we've got Matt and Buemo injured. I'm not playing Damsgaard at right wing. He has to be a player that's central because he's completely nullified when he's out wide. It will be a front three. Somehow, they'll do it somehow, but of Neil, Ivan and KLP because that's all we've got at the minute. That's all we've got. So it has to be that.
In a couple of weeks' time, we will not be playing this formation. I tell you now.
But we're not talking about a couple of weeks' time. In a couple of weeks' time, we might have a few players back like Sharda and Wisser back from AFCON. You know, we're talking about what's going to happen when we play Wolves in a couple of weeks if we go back to a back four, because we'll have Reguilon starting left back and we should have Aya starting right back, But if we're going for a 4-3-3, right at this present moment, it has to be Ivan, Maupay, KLP, because those are the only three players that we can use. Unless
Silva fits in midfield then?
I don't like Josh out wide.
De Silva in midfield?
No.
De Silva in the middle. I don't like him out wide.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. Okay, so I would have personally a 4-3-3 with De Silva on the right and Lewis Potter on the left, and then Toney through the middle. What you've got there is just De Silva, who, as I'm going to say again, he's direct. He's got everything that you want from a wing player. Now, I think personally, I think he's a great centre mid, but we've got better options in the middle of that park. Personally, so I think you've got to put him on that right hand side, Craig, 100%, because they get City. If we're looking at City, how they dominate that ball in the middle of the park, it is key. We get that midfield right. So you want to have Janelt in there, you want to have Norgard in there, you want to have Jensen in there. You can't afford to have someone in there with that attacking. I'm not saying, of course, that the other three I've just named aren't attacking, but what you need is centre mid key players in the middle of that park who can do a job both attacking and defensively. De Silva, put him on the right. He will take on defenders, do exactly what you want him to do. He will track back. He will get forward. He will create opportunities. KLP on the left will take players on at will and will again create opportunities, and Ivan through the middle. Now, I'm going to touch upon it. It goes back to what we were saying briefly about the Spurs game. Apologies to go back onto that. Controversially, I actually don't think they did very much, those two yesterday, personally, Maupay and Toney. Toney, other than the shot he had on goal to set up Maupay, and then, he missed that opportunity which was gifted to him. The ball coming in from wide, he slipped, put the ball wide, and then obviously he scored for a gift. Realistically, what else did Ivan Toney do yesterday other than get jeered by the Tottenham fans? He didn't do anything yesterday. Personally,
he occupies players.
Callum, 100%.
Even when he's doing nothing, he occupies players.
Cheers, Trevor. You see Trevor's comment in the chat.
I'd love to know what Trevor's got to say. Nice to see you, Trevor.
6 people watch it, chaps. Well done. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate that, mate.
He's come
Continue,
along
boys.
all right.
Continue.
No, I don't think personally it was one of their best games yesterday. Morpay again, I don't think personally he did too much yesterday. Like, yes, other than wind up others up and score a goal, I don't think personally he did too much. We needed someone with a bit more pace up front. We had someone with pace yesterday, like Sharda. I tell you now, we would have done a lot better than we would have scored more goals yesterday. Their back line did not have a Scooby. But
do you know what?
No.
Even Whistle would have run them ragged yesterday. The way they play a higher line, even Whistle would have had a good game yesterday. But what? God, I can't even remember what we were saying. Ivan, he just occupies players.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see it not this weekend, obviously, but next weekend against Wolves. We watched Neil Maupay play against Wolves 3 times, and their 2 centre backs being Max Kilman and whoever else it was, Craig Dawson, and I can't remember one of the other guys' names. Well, I can't remember the other guy's name, but all they did was nullify Neil Maupay for everything. We couldn't play a ball up top because he couldn't win a header because he's only 4 foot tall, playing against them who are giants, all of them against him. When we play against Wolves in a couple of weeks and we see Ivan against those 2, 3, however many they play, it will be a completely different game because he will occupy 2 of those players for 90 minutes of that game, which will open spaces across the pitch. And because we will have Reguilon playing left back, he should be match fit. He should be ready for the team. He'll play against City, I reckon, and which means he should be. I don't see anything. This City game is a free hit for me. I don't see anything happening other than them beating us, which is ironic after we beat them twice last season. But for me, it's just a free hit with the way that we've been playing. If we go 1-0 up, I expect us to lose 7-1.
Let's on that note, let's first half so good, but on the note of giving leads away, I'm getting so fucking bored of Brentford going 1-0 up in games and just throwing it away. It's 23 points that we've dropped now from winning positions, which is a league high. So frustrating because besides that 10-minute spell just after the second half started, I thought we matched Spurs all over the pitch. Genuinely, I thought they didn't have that many clear-cut opportunities. I know Richarlison had a sighter in the first half, and Flecken actually saved something in the first half as well. But even that one was just, he dived so slowly. Watching it back, anyway, I digress. I'm not trying to hate on Flecken anymore. But Callum, what the hell are we? What are we doing in this 10 minutes? It's the second time it's happened where we've conceded twice within the space of minutes. Well, Palace was again right. We went 2-1 down at Palace pretty fast, and at United as well when we conceded twice in stoppage time. So what are we doing at the back?
I think we're just panicking a bit. I don't think when we don't know, obviously, as you rightfully say, how to hold on to leads. Like, I think when we're scared of conceding. Like I was saying yesterday, just how brilliant it would be to keep a clean sheet. Like, obviously that never happened, but just for the moment, just for the how it would have got this team going. We've got a clean sheet in the bag. We concede a lot of goals at the moment. That would have been fantastic. But I don't know. I just think we're too complacent. We did well in that first half, and I will say it again. That was a very, very good defensive performance in that first half. We kept them quiet. We did everything we needed to do. Yet in the second half, yes, they had a bit of luck, as I'll touch upon again, but we forgot our basics. I mean, Roslev. I love Roslev. Don't get me wrong. But, I looked at him after the second goal and he was having a go at a few of the players. His body language was something I wasn't too pleased about. People having a go at each other as well on the pitch. And I was just like, look, just calm down. Go back to basics. Let's just get back in this game. But, I think we were spoilt last season. We had such a good defensive back line. We were solid. Now, whether that's got something to do with the keeper or communicating with his back line or whoever's in the back line not communicating with each other, who knows? I don't know. But we are conceding a lot of goals at the moment and we can't hold on to leads. We're losing a lot of games. Something's got to change. hopefully we might sign someone tonight. Would be nice, wouldn't it? As a transfer deadline special, would be nice. But Trevor, maybe you can tell us something if you're still watching. But
here's one for you and for the people who are watching now. We've kept 3 clean sheets this season. Who are those 3 clean sheets against?
Burnley, Fulham, and Burnley, Fulham. Who's the last one? Go on, let us know.
Chelsea.
That makes it so much sweeter. Let's move.
Yeah,
I know. I wish we could play Chelsea every week. Probably have a few more points.
Would be nice.
Let's move on. Let's move on to this question. Do you lot think we'll pick up a single point this month? I can't see us getting anything. Man City. Let's go to Man City. Are we treating this as a free hit? I know we've been dangerous on the break against Tottenham, but City is an entirely different proposition. And I don't know if you watched the FA Cup game where City went to Spurs, but they completely dominated Spurs for 90 minutes. And Spurs didn't have a chance. Genuinely, they didn't have one chance. So it's going to be really fucking difficult. On this guy's question, do you lot think we'll pick up a single point this month? Craig, have you got the fixture list up?
I have indeed. So obviously we had, yesterday was January anyway, wasn't it? So we've got 5 games this month. We've got 5 games this month. So we've got City at home, Wolves away, Liverpool at home, City away, and West Ham at home.
West Ham away.
West Ham away.
Did I say West Ham at home? Sorry, West Ham away.
West Ham away. But that'd be 3 points for sure.
The optimist in me says we get 6 points. The pessimist in me says we're lucky to get 2.
Yeah, I think it's the thing is, I don't back us to not play well in any of those games. If we play like we did against Tottenham, I feel like we'll be all right. But I don't know whether that will be reflected in the points, and that's the frustrating thing.
I can see us getting some points towards the end of the month. What we've got to hope for now is we get through this period before players get back where we don't get any injuries. We will have a very, very good squad when the players like Wissa come back, when the players Onyeka comes back, if he doesn't leave on transfer deadline day.
Do you know we could actually use Onyeka against City?
Oh, there you go.
We could use him against City. I gave him so much grief, but I was chatting to the City podcast I did a preview with, which is coming out in a couple of days. But I thought one of the main reasons we actually beat City at the Etihad last year was Frank Onyeka. He was unbelievable in the press and the midfield.
I rest my case.
One game.
When I said we needed someone like Onyeka to press Wolves, you guys were ribbing me, and now all of a sudden. I've
always been a big fan on Onyeka, but anyway, for me personally, I don't think City. I actually think is going to be a very close game. We've seen when they've come to us previously, they got lucky when they first came to us obviously with the 1-0 when they beat us. With Foden score, I think that night. Obviously, we beat them last season in both games. They don't like coming to grounds like this. You need to remember that. They got lucky at Luton earlier this season as well. They do concede silly goals. I mean, yes, they won last night, but they conceded a silly goal against Burnley. They are there to score against. They are very complacent at times. But what you got to remember is obviously, yes, they have all this quality. It's hard to forget the quality that Manchester City bring to that pitch. So, we've just got to not let the occasion get to us like always, turn that place into a fortress. Can't see a reason why we can't get at least a point, maybe 3 against City, and then kick on against Wolves. And I'll tell you now, there's no reason again why we can't go to Wolves and go and put a good game in like we did at the FA Cup. No reason why we can't.
I'm telling you now, the Wolves game with Ivan Toney occupying their defenders will be completely different to the 3 games that we've seen so far against them, with 2 in the FA Cup and the league game at home. And just to reiterate the point, that game that we had at home against Wolves was a complete anomaly. We won't gift 3 goals to teams like that. I say that like we didn't just do it yesterday. We won't give 3 goals the way in the manner in which we did.
In that fashion.
In the fashion in which we did, like that again. We got beaten in extra time in the FA Cup. We drew against 10 men for 85 minutes, which obviously wasn't great for us. But those are physical teams. Spurs aren't, I wouldn't say are physical, but they're smart. They're a bit nasty. They're a bit bitey. They know how to get under players' skins. And you saw it kicking off at the end of the game with Ivan and their goalie. But he will occupy players against Wolves, which will free up space for KLP, who will be playing further up that pitch against Wolves. And he will be quicker than their defenders. I realistically don't see us getting anything from City, unfortunately. I would love to be on Callum's level, have that optimism and that confidence going into it. Funny enough, I think if we go 1-0 up, then we will lose. So we need to not score for as long as possible in that game. We need to not score for as long as possible. But Wolves and West Ham are the biggest games in February for us. Wolves and West Ham are the biggest games in February.
100%. I was speaking to the City guy, and he's expecting like a really horrible game. It's going to be tough. I think Haaland's going to be back. I expect De Bruyne to start as well because he didn't start against Spurs in the Cup, and I don't think he started last night against Burnley as well, although he was replaced by Haaland. So realistically, we've got the proposition of facing up against a starting 11 with Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland in there, which is going to be tough considering the partnership that they've had whenever they've played together. And De Bruyne is just like a phenomenal footballer, absolutely phenomenal. So it's going to be tough. I think we can say that with confidence. Whether we can nick a result or not, I'm not sure. But like you said, Craig, it's definitely the two fixtures where we need to look to pick up points this month are Wolves and West Ham, and not City at home. We might be able to pull something out the bag against Liverpool. We normally have a good game against them when we play them at home, but the Wolves and the West Ham games
off either, do they? They don't like an early kick-off with Liverpool.
No. I think that might be a good place to wrap it up, boys. I know we've tried something a bit different tonight. To anyone that's been watching throughout, thank you very much. We're gonna hopefully, this is just a little trial run. I'm gonna next time we do this, or next time we decide to do this, when there's a bit of a controversial game or something with a lot of talking points, I'll make sure to give it a proper push on social medias before we end up going live. So then hopefully we can get a few more than 6 people watching throughout. But anyway, I'm going to flip this and put it on Spotify so that people can listen to it in good time. And we'll also be back for a City preview, which should be dropping Saturday morning. But obviously keep posted on social medias for any updates on that. Yeah, the Ealing Road podcast will be back, like I just said, on Saturday morning. Make sure to comment down below with your thoughts ahead of the City game on Monday night and any thoughts from the Spurs game yesterday. Give us a follow on the socials as at the Ealing Road on Twitter and at Ealing Road Pod on Instagram. Trevor, hope you have a fantastic evening, mate. When's the GPG podcast coming back? I want more of that. Anyone listen to that when it was there? You boys?
It's a long time ago. That was long time ago.
I quite liked it. Trevor, get back to it, mate. We'll collab. Anyway, boys, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you next time.
Up the beach.
Thank you all.